Day everyone, I am Micaela Billones, and for today's video, I'll be discussing about the circulatory system. But first, what is the cardiovascular system? The cardiovascular system consists of a network of vessels that circulates blood throughout the body, motored by the action of the heart. Tracing the flow of blood. Pulmonary circulation. The inferior vena cava is the largest vein of the body. It carries deoxygenated blood back from the lower part of the body to the right atrium of the heart. This blood is carrying carbon dioxide. The superior vena cava is above the heart and carries deoxygenated blood from the head and arms to the right atrium of the heart. From the right atrium, the blood flows through the tricuspid valve to the right ventricle and then onto the lungs through the pulmonary valve and pulmonary artery. In the lungs, the blood exchanges the carbon dioxide it is carrying for oxygen. The fully oxygenated blood now flows back to the left atrium of the heart through the pulmonary veins. The oxygenated blood leaves the left atrium through the mitral valve into the left ventricle, gets pumped from the left ventricle through the aortic valve to the aorta. The aorta is the largest artery of the body. The ascending aorta leaves the heart, curves in an inverted U shape making an arc, and then descends downward. Three branches extend upward. The brachiocephalic artery quickly divides into the right subclavian artery that supplies blood to the right arm and upper torso, and the right common carotid artery that supplies the head and the neck. Second, the left common carotid artery supplies the head and the neck. Third, the left subclavian artery supplies the left arm and upper torso. Subclavian means it is located below the clavicle or collarbone. The descending aortic artery leads downward through the diaphragm and chest into the abdomen. About 1/5 to 1/3 of the blood passes through the renal artery into the kidney. The kidney is a filter and takes some water and waste products out of the blood. The kidneys excrete the waste product and water out of the body as urine. The descending aortic artery continues downward into the abdomen, and then it splits into two major branches. This split is called the aortic bifurcation. The two branches are called iliac arteries. The left iliac artery supplies blood to the left pelvis and leg. The right iliac artery supplies blood to the right pelvis and leg. The iliac artery continues down into the leg as the femoral artery and its branches. The arteries are elastic tubes that carry blood in pulsating waves. The blood exerts pressure against the wall of the arteries as it passes through. The peak pressure occurs during the heart's contraction and is called systolic pressure. The minimum pressure occurs between contraction when the heart expands and refills and is called diastolic pressure. This pressure variation within the artery produces a pulse. All arteries have a pulse. Temporal is side forehead, carotid neck, brachial inside the elbow, radial thumb side of wrist, femoral groin, popliteal behind the knee, dorsalis pedis upper surface of foot. The average pulse of a person who is resting would be 70. During exercise, the number might be increased to between 130 and 140 beats per meter. Systolic and diastolic pressure can be measured in a brachial artery just above the elbow with an instrument called sphygmomanometer and a stethoscope. Two measurements are taken and are expressed in millimeters of mercury. The two blood pressure measurements are written as a ratio systolic over diastolic. In the average adult, systolic pressure usually ranges from 100 to 140. The systolic pressure usually ranges into 60 to 90. A typical blood pressure reading would be expressed as 120 over 80. A reading of 140 over 90 would be considered high blood pressure and may pose health risks. The arteries branch off into smaller, even vessels called arterioles, and then to smaller vessels yet called capillaries. Arterioles act like adjustable nozzles in the circulatory system, so they have the greatest influence over blood pressure. The capillaries are the smallest of blood vessels, and the walls are so thin that molecules can pass through them. They branch out from the arterioles, passing into the next organs, intestines, and throughout all the cellular tissue. In the cellular tissue, the capillaries provide the means of exchange through process of absorption. The capillaries branching away from the arteries in the abdomen pass by the liver and intestine, picking up nutrients and water. The capillaries in the cellular tissue exchange their oxygen, nutrients, and water and pick up the carbon dioxide and wastes. The capillaries branching away from the arteries in the lungs absorb oxygen. The capillaries now carrying carbon dioxide and cell wastes start merging into bigger vessels continued called venules. The venules widen even further, emptying into veins. The veins have valves that prevent the backflow of blood. Veins lead the back to the heart. Veins are the vessels that are used to remove blood from the body for analysis. This procedure is called venipuncture, and the medical personnel that specializes in this procedure is called a phlebotomist. The veins carry the blood back toward the heart. The blood still carries a small amount of oxygen along with the cellular waste, but has a fairly low pressure compared to blood in arteries. It finally travels through the superior and inferior vena cava and back into the right atrium of the heart. Circulation is a complete and starts over again. So that's the end of the topic. Thank you for watching.